So please welcome in.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah,
Good afternoon, sir.
afternoon,
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You can take out your mask and be comfortable. So currently you are management trainee.
Yes, sir, in Punjab National Bank.
Where? Which company?
Sir, in Punjab National Bank.
Okay, you are working in Punjab National Bank.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got selected as probationer officer.
Yes, sir.
When?
Sir, I got selected in, I gave the examination in 2019. I got selected in May 2021 and the training started at 1st December 2020.
Okay, and you are staying in Delhi. And your father is in railway service because you are staying in railway colony.
Yes, sir. But we have shifted from there, sir, recently because my father has retired and we have left that place of residence and now we have shifted to Gurgaon.
Where?
Sir, Gurgaon, Sector 52.
You have shifted.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you 90 seconds to introduce yourself and also why you want to join IAS.
Sir, my name is SHANTANU. I have done graduation in electrical and electronics engineering as well as done my master's in political science. I want to become a civil servant because I think that partly because of preparing for the examination, one has to keep an aim. So I, with a strong will and desire, wanted to become a foreign service officer because comparatively, seeing the nature of the service is very different from that of the other civil services, and that desire motivated me to become a civil servant, as well as the fact that I have seen that in public service one can do a lot of good. In my current service, I have some examples that I can point out where I have done a little bit of minutest efforts to further interest of the customers that were coming to the branches at the point which I think was which I think I used my discretion to help them.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. So your interests are maintaining personal journal. It's a very interesting hobby. And now even doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, they are also recommending to the patient who are suffering from mental illnesses that you should maintain personal journals. Why are they saying so?
So precisely because I read in the 2014 year, I read that by maintaining a journal, it reduces a lot of stress and at the same time, it is like an exercise of self-reflection. So I started it out with that principle only. But later on in due course of time, I could see through reflecting exercises that it can also build a lot of stress. So it has built a little bit of stress, and hence I've also written that in January 2021, after giving my mains for the civil services examination 2020, I had stopped writing it because of that.
Currently you are not writing.
I'm not writing.
Okay. But I think it is a good idea to restart. Because one more thing is there, that it increases the self-awareness. You become aware about your own thoughts, feelings, emotions, your perceptions likewise. And once this self-awareness increases, it increases your overall mental well-being. So that is why now more and more doctors, they prescribe for personal journalism.
Sorry, sir. Sir, can I say something regarding it? Initially, it was a good exercise, so it helped me. But due to course of time, writing about the incident, for example, an instance that used to trigger me off in the wrong direction and set a bad reaction. So that could have been, so that I used to write those incidents and then used to work upon those incidents. So there's a pattern to which people interact and people give responses. So I was successfully able to manage it, though the next time my response was different. But I at the same time also felt that I was starting to avoid certain situations because I could not find any solutions to them. So it made me a little bit less social. In that regard, it became a habit. So that habit, when I did in the last year, which was the 2019 year, I could make out that most of the thing regarding to diary entry was making me a little bit reticent and reclusive in a sense. So I decided to stop it, and it
But
became
maybe weekly basis you can do, not on daily, but maybe after a fortnight, write 1 or 2 pages. That's always a good idea. Another thing is reading books for personal development. Have you read this book of Neon Harari, Brief History of Humankind?
no, sir.
You read this book because you are a student from technology. So he has talked a lot about dataism, how future will be shaped by these big technological companies like Google, Microsoft, likewise. So this will be a good read for you. And then you are talking about physical fitness. What is intermittent fasting?
Uh,
Do you practice intermittent fasting?
Sir, I do not have a very clear idea about it, but if you can allow me, then I can try giving an answer for it. So I believe intermittent fasting is fasting in between meals.
Okay, but you read about it. Intermittent fasting is it's around from 12 hours to 16 hours. Doctor says that you should have a limited window of 6 to 8 hours for taking food. Yeah, so yes, say from you take breakfast 10 o'clock in the morning and then take dinner by 5 o'clock. So it is a window of 7 hours. And then remaining 17 hours would be your fasting. That is called intermittent fasting. It is a very important concept since you have written physical fitness. And also gut bacteria. Have you heard about this?
Yes, sir.
Gut bacteria.
So the bacteria which are in our stomach, these microorganisms help us digest food.
Have you read about it? How it affects our mental well-being, mental health?
So from what I can remember, I remember very faintly about it.
But since you have given this hobby, mental fitness, you must read about these two subjects, intermittent fasting and gut bacteria. If some very health conscious member is sitting in a UPSC interview, then he or she may be asking on these issues. Now coming back to this issue of, say, let's talk about Sri Lanka. What do you think? Should government of India intervene when the whole mess has been created by China? Why India is going to rescue Sri Lanka?
Sir, I believe it is in India's interest that the democracy and the countries which are in periphery of India maintain a stable political regime. And if not, then that can result into opening of a Pandora's box. A lot of challenges can be presented. For example, if Sri Lanka is not stable, it does not have a stable political regime, then social movements can erupt, which is already erupting right now, as well as the fact that some of the cases which are particularly related to Sri Lanka is the Tamil issue, the state government issue. Then there could be a federalism issue between the center and the state, which is the Tamil Nadu. So I think positively intervening in the Sri Lanka is the desired goal and should be the desired goal of the government.
Okay.
In a hobby, personal aspect is dominating. You have used twice the term personal, but you are trying to join public service.
Yes, sir. Sir, partly because I think that one's conscious self-awareness and a good conscience translates into a better human being that indirectly translates into a good public servant. So me being righteous and correct would automatically translate into a person who has an intent to do good, justice with whatever institution I am representing.
You have been reading books for personal development. So what's the different forms of development?
Sir, development can be of many types. Sir, one can be social development, one can be economic development, one can be psychological development. Currently, I'm able.
What do you mean by personal development?
So personal development indicates that by writing personal development, I indicate that I psychological development of myself, as well as my social development, as but not economic development, social and psychological development of my.
Why not?
Sir, because I think reflecting.
Reading books, you may find different skills to earn a lot of money.
Yes, sir, definitely. I agree, sir. I'm sorry.
Have you heard the term digital discrimination? During the COVID period, this term was in use. Digital discrimination.
Sir, I'm not aware of it. I'm sorry.
So, sir, asking about personal. Article 21 said that no person shall be deprived from his life and personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. What is personal liberty?
So personal liberty extends both to the personal as well as the public sphere. And it is indicative of the fact that the personal liberty overall develops personality of a person.
Can you explain it in the respect of Maneka Gandhi case as a student of PSIR?
Sir, with respect to Maneka Gandhi's case, I can say that under Article 21 it was said that procedure established by law. So law could be established and one could be executed as per the law. And after Maneka Gandhi's case, it was said and determined that due process of law will follow, and with regards to that I mean that the law should be just and fair.
Can you differentiate between the due process of law and procedure established by law?
Sir, procedure established by law is the law that is made by the legislature. So by legislature, one, for example, if I talk about AFSPA, so that gives a provision, a potentiality for a person to get executed by law. But the fairness of it can be contested through the court of law, which is the due process of law.
Okay. Can you differentiate between inclusive development and all-round development of the individuals?
Sir, inclusive development indicates fraternization. Inclusive development is promoting social solidarity, that everybody from different race, caste, place of birth and religion should not be discriminated against, but some measures should be done to promote social solidarity, as well as, sir, I'm sorry, I forgot the second term, sir.
All-round development.
So overall development indicates the child's health as well as educational development.
Why our constitution framers decided to that President of India will be elected and the head of the state, governor, will not be elected, that will be appointed? Can you explain it?
Sir, I can explain it through the context of it, which I believe that at that time there were constitutional experts suggest that there were a lot of fear and trepidation with regards to states seceding from the union. So maybe because of that, it was decided that the election of the president and not the election of the governor.
Give me some strong reasons in bullet points.
So partly because governor is the linchpin of between the union and the state, so it promotes federalism, as well as president is the head of the state, and both governor and president are nominal heads.
Okay, last question from my side. What is the relation between the utilitarianism and theory of John Rawls of justice?
Sir, Jeremy Bentham was the political thinker as well as the lawyer who propounded the theory of utilitarianism, which espouses on the fact that men are motivated by self-interest, and to pursue their self-interest they can accomplish goals in life, and those self-interest can be, as a mathematical sum can be added, which was given by philosophic calculus of Jeremy Bentham. And then John Rawls' theory was a normative theory. It was a theory of justice where John Rawls suggested that liberty, well, John Rawls found a middle path between two constraints, which was finding the liberty as a principle, as well as working for the least disadvantage. So he placed in lexical order liberalism as the first principle, and the second principle as to work towards the least development or least advantaged individuals, and the third principle was equality of opportunity.
Okay.
So, Shantanu, a large number of vacancies in the IAS. It is mentioned by DOPT in Parliament. Okay. So, can you tell me what are the reasons behind it?
Sir, a large number of vacancies are due to changing nature of our country, and the demand of the society is such that vacancies are being created, not even today, but even at the time when we got independence. Even at that time we had shortages of IAS officers. So, but the problem is that because the academy does not have the institutional capacity to house more than 180 students, hence it becomes a institutional constraint to train so many individuals at one time with the same quality.
There is a term, neo-quad. Have you heard this term?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Sir, under the umbrella of Look West policy, there is this new geopolitical alliance. That geopolitical alliance is between India, USA, Israel, and I'm not sure about the fourth one, but I think it is UAE.
So, how this organization is important in the context of Western Asian politics?
So currently the policy has changed from the previous stand of looking through the prism of Palestine. The current government has changed the policy, and they are engaging at multiple levels. So with regards to the mutual cooperation between the UAE and India, that is, we have common areas of cooperation. I believe that energy is one of them, military exercises is one of them, military cooperation. And with regards to US has always been interested in Middle East, partly because of the energy resources and because of its geopolitical positioning, because it is close to Suez Canal. And so that is.
Recently, Indian government making few changes in the e-waste management policy. Have you read this?
Yes, sir. But
What is e-waste management?
Sir, e-waste is with regards to the appliances that we have in a household. Their recycling as well as their reduction. So e-waste would be, if the computer is old, then it has been given to the scrap, and then it has certain hazardous metals in it, and those hazardous metals should to be disposed of in a particular manner with regards to the law.
Few scholars are saying that India is sitting on a plastic time bomb. Do you agree with this statement? Basically, single-use plastic time bomb. Do you agree with this statement?
Sir, I believe that in India has climate-wise done great leaps. However, there is scope of improvement, and then the policy that came recently, which banned about 75 microns plastic, and now it is increased to 125 because of the size of the plastic bag could not retain. And these policy measures were taken into account, keeping the interest of the MSME sector. Most of the MSME sectors uses plastic products. Most plastic products are used in railways also and other. So it could have had a multiplier effect in a negative sense. So it could have affected the MSME industry mostly. So we have gone back, but we are making sure that we are making certain mechanisms that are put into place. For example, producers' responsibility, and at the same time reducing the usage of the plastic.
Okay. My last question is that have you heard term Sagar initiative?
Sir, I have heard, but I'm currently not able to recall.
Okay, Shantanu. Just started with your DF. You are Shantanu or Harshwardhan? You don't think the two name you have?
Yes, sir, I believe I have two names. I've also discussed with my parents, and on inquiry I got to know that Shantanu Harshwardhan was a father of Bhishma Pitama in Mahabharata. And Shantanu means wholesome, of good health and mind, and Harshwardhan means peace loving.
Harshwardhan, can we say the last, in ancient era, the last Hindu powerful king Harshwardhan was? Have you read something about Harshwardhan?
Sir, King Harshwardhan was a ruler of Kannauj, and which is close to Kurukshetra, my birthplace, which is Amin, which is also known as Abhimanyupur. And he ruled from some part of Central Asia to the Ganga Delta. His expanse was. So he wrote Ratnavali, Nagananda.
Okay. So, second, you did your BTech in 2011, and then I have seen that in 19 you completed your PG in PSIR, Political Science. So, in between the 8 year, what you did actually, the journey of your life of these 8 years?
Sir, I only prepared for civil services examination as I was hopeful that I will clear, but I did not.
Okay, then after?
Then after I started to think that maybe some factors are not in my control and I cannot predict them very well. So I started out to look for other avenues and opportunities. Those avenues and opportunities were that I got admission in Tata Institute of Social Science HR program, as well as an MBA program of Symbiosis SCMHRD. But keeping in mind the other things, I always felt that I have this strong will and desire to become a civil servant.
So, what is your lesson for the new generation? They have to go with only plan A or plan A and plan B. Very sure, because this message, suppose you become an IAS and you are giving some lecture in some college or a school, and there was a fixed criteria that everybody is in competitive preparation. Because of your this lesson and your learnings, what is your opinion? Only one plan and you have to move, you have to stick on that, or plan A and plan B, always you have second alternative plan also?
Sir, in hindsight, when I see, I think there is always a plan, second plan would have been better in terms of practical consideration of the uncertainty of the exam itself. And I believe if I had to give an advice to somebody or even to myself going back to 8-10 years, then I would have given him that the same advice that I'm wanting to give, which is to have a second option in working as well as focus on the first option with full force.
Okay. But you don't think that the focus can be diverted?
Sir, absolutely it can. But I think there is a functional limitations to things that one can only do so much. So the intent should be to work as hard as you can.
Okay. So now come to your electrical and electronics.
Yes, sir.
You remembered something or forgot?
Sir, I can try.
I can try. Okay. Wait. First of all, just differentiate. We are all laymen. We are not technical guys. Just distinguish that this is the electrical and this is electronic engineering.
So, for example, electronics industry would deal, or electronics engineering would deal with semiconductors, and electrical engineering would deal with AC motors, DC motors, and the machines which provide energy or generate energy, generators.
Can you define what is transformer? But it's simple.
So, transformer is a device through which we can step down or step step up voltages.
Okay. So nowadays many talk about, and India is doing really very good in solar energy and very important. What is the process, like I am asking it from an engineering candidate, what is the process, the mechanism that the solar ray convert into electrical energy?
Sir, first we apply the sunlight that falls on the semiconductor. Through semiconductor, the movement of electrons, their PNP or NPN diodes are present, and through that the electron moves after a certain threshold is breached, and through that we collect current either in a battery, and that current is a DC current. For that we need a converter. A converter then converts the energy into
So nowadays talk about the green hydrogen program also, and the government of India also produced the policy about this. I have read somewhere the grey hydrogen also. What is the difference between grey or black hydrogen and this green hydrogen, and how this green hydrogen is going to be revolution for India?
Sir, grey hydrogen comes from fossil fuel, and green hydrogen comes from that I'm not sure of, sir.
Renewable resources like water and wind, solar even. So if produce hydrogen, that is green hydrogen, right? Okay, you are talking about the E policy of the government and e-waste management you have talked. One of our minister once reached with the electronic vehicle and hydrogen vehicle to the parliament, and it was much in the news. And our government is promoting lot of things for the e-vehicle, e-vehicle. Even Delhi government is also. But just look, after 50 years or 30 years, what consequences can face India if we are promoting everywhere the electronic vehicles?
Sir, I can say in terms of the technology related to storage of the lithium-ion batteries, still a lot of scope is there for improvement. For example, solid-state batteries of lithium-ion batteries are better than the liquid ones. So that is being used, and much can be done forward in that direction in terms of storage, as well as the current policy of the electric vehicle policy, I think, is favorable because it subsidizes the cost of creating an infrastructure which gives electrical energy.
Okay. Just increasing the age of girls for marriage, the personal bill and the bill is introduced in parliament. So what do you think? The increasing the marriage age of girls, it is appropriate action, or first you have to implement UCC, Uniform Civil Code, and then otherwise I don't think that it will be good for the country.
Sir, India is vast and diverse. It espouses many cultures and their social practices. So keeping in mind, the government is wanting to raise the age of the children so that they can pursue their education, and it is perfectly in line with the graduation, which is of 21 years. So I think it's a step in right direction, keeping in mind the diversity of it. But I also believe that UCC, though mentioned in Directive Principle of State Policy, state can strive to, with its resources, can strive to promote UCC. However, at union level, it can create a lot of discontent.
But you don't think that the nowadays society rules the religion? This is the ideal case, but nowadays religion rules the society. Just suppose we have other IPC, CRPC, we all have for the same. But when we come on the civil code, there is no uniformity. Last 75 years or about 72 years of this constitution, you don't think this is the high time to implement UCC? Because many things, many words, many sayings is going on, and the conflict also.
Sir, I believe that UCC can create should be created at the state level because it is perfectly in line with DPSP. However, if union creates UCC, then it will have a lot of opposition, as well as there would be a lot of repercussions of it when we apply that law pan-India. So it can give rise to discontent, which can give rise to sporadic social movements.
Okay, now there is a lot talk about NAM 2.0 and strategic autonomy is key there. Do you think we are going NAM 2.0?
So I believe India has always followed under the principle of strategic autonomy. India has always followed NAM principle. It seeks to promote peace and development and territorial integrity. Now, following that principle, when we talk about NAM 2.0, NAM 2.0 works on the development aspect as well as its strategic autonomy with relating to the multipolar world order. So currently we live in a multipolar world order. So there are rising and emerging powers, India being one, and to balance the competing interests at the level of international sphere, it is important that we should be strategic.
What is catch-22 situation?
I'm sorry, sir.
In international relation and diplomacy, have you heard? And recently this was in news that India in this front, we are facing catch-22 situation.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm not able to.
Okay, sir.
Which is the latest book you have read?
Sir, I'm currently reading a book, which is the book Psychology book. And recent book before that I read was Malcolm Gladwell Outliers.
Which one?
Malcolm Gladwell Outlier.
Outliers. Okay. And which is the book that has influenced you a lot? Say, which you have read in last 5 years or maybe 10 years?
Sir, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay, Meaning of Life. Oh, that's a good book. I have read that. What is the main sentence, which is the main quote from that book, Meaning of Life?
Sir, the line which I like most from the book was, it is in the front page of it only, when he's describing the Holocaust experience, his own Holocaust experience. He says that almost those persons who had given up while being in a detention camp were the first one to die. So he attributed will as a very strong force for sustenance of life itself when it was endangered. So most of the people who lost will died from edema, pneumonia and other ailments.
Yeah, that's a good book. Those who know how, they know why, likewise. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.